Los Corresponsales, un programa dedicado a observar la imagen que tiene México fuera de nuestras fronteras. Una conversación con los periodistas extranjeros que todos los días reportan sobre el país en los medios internacionales. El pasado jueves 23 de junio, los ciudadanos del Reino Unido salieron a votar sobre su permanencia en la Unión Europea. La votación más importante en los últimos 40 años. Desde el Ayuntamiento de Manchester y con un 52% del apoyo electoral, se pronunció la histórica decisión de abandonar el proyecto europeo. Las repercusiones del voto anti-europeísta se han manifestado tanto dentro como fuera del Reino Unido. El primer ministro David Cameron ha anunciado ya su renuncia para el próximo mes de octubre. Los escoceses, quienes votaron 2-1 por permanecer en Europa, han comenzado a fraguar un nuevo referéndum para salir de la Gran Bretaña y permanecer al mismo tiempo en el proyecto europeo. Por su parte, Bruselas, Berlín y París preparan una respuesta contundente frente al rechazo del Reino Unido y el nuevo formato de la relación con Londres. El mundo financiero y la libra esterlina también han resentido la incertidumbre derivada del aislacionismo británico y su potencial impacto en la estabilidad de la Unión Europea. ¿Podrá realmente disolverse el Reino Unido con la separación de Escocia? ¿Ese es un riesgo? ¿Cómo funcionará la nueva relación entre Londres y el resto de la Unión Europea? ¿La salida de Gran Bretaña podría representar el principio del fin del proyecto supranacional europeo? Para responder a estas y otras complicadas interrogantes, hoy hemos invitado a Adam Barnes, corresponsal de The Economist en México. Soy Ricardo Raphael y esto es Los Corresponsales.
La compañía alemana Germanwings realizaba el trayecto de Barcelona a Düsseldorf.
Y más allá de las largas colas, los consumidores del área metropolitana de Caracas denuncian.
Não resistiu aos tiros que levou no peito e na barriga.
Very soon after it was known Britain had voted to leave the European Union, David Cameron announced he would step down as Prime Minister.
I will do everything I can as Prime Minister to steady the ship over the coming weeks and months. But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
In London, where a majority of residents voted to stay in the EU, the reaction to the outcome of the referendum was mostly one of shock.
I think it's completely idiotic. I think it's economic insanity.
I was very surprised when I saw it this morning. It's just gone too long. It's become something that was never meant to be.
The so-called Brexit vote is the biggest blow to the European project of greater unity since World War II and has led to calls in France and the Netherlands for similar polls.
Hi, Adam. We are really pleased to have you here talking about a complicated topic. Is the Brexit a tragedy? I mean, could you answer straight this question? Is it a tragedy?
I'm generally a supporter of the Remain camp, so as far as I'm concerned, yes. I mean, it certainly seems that way so far. I mean, one of the big arguments I think made by the Leave camp was always that we will have turmoil. I think they didn't deny that there was going to be turmoil, but it will end and there will be sunny uplands awaiting us
and now,
in the future.
Is there any sunny
The sunny uplands
afternoon?
appear to have disappeared at the moment, and we've had this rather strange sight of various senior figures from the Leave campaign denying some of the claims that were made. So Nigel Farage, who is the leader of the United Kingdom Independence Party, says that one of the key claims about the amount of money we give to the European Union each week and how that can now be spent on health services in Britain was never his idea in the first place. So it's the sunny uplands are disappearing fast.
Let me go straight to the future. Many things have been said after last week referendum, but now I need to focus on the future. First of all, Scotland. We see the Scottish people and the Scottish minister saying we are looking forward for a next referendum. and would like to remain in Europe, and we don't want to be with the Great Britain. What is your bet about what the Scottish people are going to do?
Again, that could conceivably be part of the tragedy. So Nicola Sturgeon, the leader of the Scottish National Party, who is the first minister in Scotland, has said it is democratically unacceptable for the Scots to be taken out of the EU when they themselves voted so overwhelmingly to stay in. There was a referendum 2 years ago on Scottish independence, and the Remain side won that quite convincingly, 55 to 45. And at the time, everyone thought, well, this issue has been settled for the time being. And I think the Scottish National Party always said, we will have another referendum when the national mood demands it. Arguably, now the national mood demands it. The national mood demands it because one of the arguments that was made in favour of their staying in the UK was that this was the only way to guarantee staying in the EU. No, the Brits said, stay with us and you'll keep your EU privileges. Go it alone and who knows, maybe the EU won't accept you. Now they're staying with us seems to have rather destroyed that. They're with us and they're on the course to leave the EU. So
what kind of moves can we expect from Scotland? Veto the decision in Parliament? They have this power, veto power?
I would be unaware of them having that power because they don't have any kind of majority in the British Houses of Parliament. They don't have enough parliamentarians there to make any big decisions. So
they can veto the decision?
Not that I'm aware. I mean, because it's a decision that has been made by the will of the British people, and they are part of the British people as things currently stand. I mean, there may be, if there is a loophole in British electoral law, then maybe they will try to find it, but I'm not aware of it.
Northern Ireland is another part of the British community that can be out looking forward the same path than Scottish.
Well, yes, and with the particular wrinkle that Northern Ireland has a land border with the Republic of Ireland to the south, which is a firm member of the EU. Yeah. So this will be Britain's only land border with the EU. So the issues of that border become very complicated. They talk about, is it going to become a hard border? What happens?
And the memories of this border are not pretty.
Yes, exactly. No, there have been problems in Northern Ireland over the years. They refer to them as the Troubles. And there are issues there at the moment. The peace process they talk about.
Do you see a referendum in Northern Ireland too?
Not so obviously. I mean, there have been talks from what's called the nationalist side about wanting a referendum on joining the southern, the Republic of Ireland, in a new combined Irish state. I don't think that is going to happen. So it is harder to see what referendum question could be asked to sort of change matters. I mean, they have revealed in most recently the referendum that they want to be in the EU, but what will happen next there is one of the most unclear parts.
There are two main parties in Britain, the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, and now both parties are in crisis. David Cameron is leaving, and now Corbyn is in problems too, because he has been attacked because he wasn't a good leader in favor of the European Union. Tell me, what would you expect inside these two continents, these two parties, these two lands?
As with so many parts of the aftermath of this referendum, nobody knows. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn is being attacked on all sides at the moment for the weakness of the leadership.
Is it unfair, this attack?
Sorry?
Is unfair, this argument? Unfair? Do you think he hasn't been the leader that he should be?
I think the huge difficulty for Jeremy Corbyn was that he never pretended to be particularly keen on Europe. He is from the older left-wing part of the Labour Party, which has always had its doubts about the European Union. I mean, I think he always claimed to be a sort of 7 out of 10 supporter. And as someone who was not very keen on it, I think he always found it a bit hard to push himself forward and talk loudly about its wonders.
Can he be the next leader of the Labour Party? Not the past leader, but the...
I mean, he has said that he would stand, if he loses his leadership, which is a definite possibility, he has said he would stand again. He could conceivably win another election, but it seems unlikely. So I think his term is coming to a close.
And what is going on the Conservative side? Because
similarly, we have the imminent departure of David Cameron. He has said he will stand down by October. So that the search will begin. The search is beginning now for the next leader of the Conservative Party.
And they don't want someone very against Europe.
Well, this is, again, the difficulties here is that you probably need to have somebody who is from the Brexit camp, the Leave camp, which puts Boris Johnson, who's the main man in that camp, to the fore. But there are many people in the Conservative Party who are not very keen on Boris Johnson and may well put up other candidates against him. Now, what happens in 10 months' time, nobody knows who will be the leader of them.
Well, what you can see is a fracture in Britain, but a fracture, not just a territorial fracture, but inside politics, there's fractures too. And we see another one among generations, young people against old people. Tell me about it. This other divide that you see after Brexit.
Well, it was starting, looking at the percentages, I'm afraid I don't have them, but essentially the younger you were, the more likely it was that you were going to vote for the Remain. I mean,
they wanted to remain.
They wanted to remain. I think that possibly they are. You could come up with various reasons as to why
the young... figures? How many young people wanted to stay?
I don't have them. I think it was... but I would guess it's around 60% of the 18 to 24 group of the electorate. Essentially, for them, though, they've always grown up with the EU, for starters. So it is not something that was imposed on them in the same way that possibly the older generation feel it was imposed on them in the 1970s when Britain joined. So for the youngsters, it has been part of their heritage. They are used to travelling abroad. They are used to seeing...
They feel European.
They feel much more European. They have benefited... They can sense the benefits more obviously, perhaps, than the older generation who were keener to take control.
They can bring Britain again...
Back into the EU.
Back into the EU? Is it possible? Is it
imaginable? Theoretically. But we are in such uncharted territories. Nobody has ever left the EU apart from Greenland when it was a sort of small part of Denmark. So leaving the EU is an unbelievable undertaking. To then rejoin is conceivable, and I don't think there's anything in the statute that says you can't, but who knows what circumstances that would happen under.
Last question. Beyond Britain, beyond Europe, what do you see, for example, for countries like Mexico, for Latin America? The peso is suffering now because of that. What do you see from the economist's point of view?
I mean, I guess there's a sort of chain of events. So the fact that the British economy itself is struggling is not necessarily going to impact heavily on the Mexican economy, right? About 1% of Mexican imports come from Britain. So, 1% of Mexican exports go to Britain. So, but it's more that the British economy slowing down has an effect on the European economy. That has an effect on the world economy. That has an effect on people buy the dollar because that's what you do when you're worried, and people sell the peso because that is also what you do.
So the peso is a thermometer of the world now.
The peso is a bit of a thermometer. So yes,
if everywhere is scary, you sell pesos. If you're calm, you buy pesos.
The extraordinary amount of uncertainty about what is going to happen in the next 2 years, 5 years with the British departure from the EU is affecting the peso, sadly.
Well, and I think that this is a tragedy. And the worst of the tragedy, we don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows. This is the sentence of this program, but maybe it's the sentence of the time.
Exactly.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias a usted por habernos permitido compartir esta conversación y observar lo que está pasando en Europa, pero también las consecuencias de lo que ocurre en aquel continente sobre el nuestro. Nos vemos próxima semana, Los Corresponsales, Canal 13.